She paints on a smile.
What up, y'all? This is Brandon Williams, marketing manager at Tulos. We're here with amazing Tulos conversations with the amazing and talented, drum applause, Madison Hughes. How you doing, Madison?
What's up, y'all?
So happy to have you here. How you feeling? Like, how's your day going so far?
It's been great. I'm in my mom's new coastal house. It's amazing.
Nice.
Here in Florida.
And I know you're from Florida. Is the house that you're in is the hometown house? Is it the house you grew up in?
This is our new house. So we didn't grow up in this, but we grew up in this town. It's called Ponte Vedra Beach, Florida. It's a little slice of heaven. It's like nobody knows where this place is, but it's on the outskirts of Jacksonville, Florida. So you may have heard of our city from Jacksonville Jaguars.
Okay.
Duval.
Okay.
So it's cool.
Did you grow up going to like Jacksonville games?
Yeah, Jacksonville games are big, and like University of Florida and Florida State culture is pretty big here. So we're quite different from like the South Florida vibes down in Miami and Lauderdale and like Orlando. Yeah, and we're close to Georgia, so it feels a little bit country as well, but it's still its own vibe, North Florida.
Love that. That's awesome. Did that, I guess, growing up in Florida, did that infer some of the music you were making? Like, did it, because I'm originally from Cincinnati, Ohio, close to Kentucky. So I grew up with country music, but that, I don't know if like Florida is known for that. So I'm curious.
Oh yeah, it's interesting. Like the north side of Florida is known for raising artists like Tom Petty, Leonard Skinner, who else? The Tedeschi Trucks Band is also based here. So kind of like that southern rock and blues element. J.J. Gray's here, 38 Special, Molly Hatchet was formed here. There's so much of that like country rock, southern rock in the air and in the breeze here. So I think I definitely caught some of that.
That's awesome. That's amazing. Yeah, I mean, I'm going to try to think. Only thing I know about Florida is going to Orlando. Like I don't have too much context. And I've been to Miami once, but I know it's completely different. But that's amazing. I mean, I think a lot of times independent artists like leave home and they try to like go away from what made them, so to speak, right? And so I think it's very interesting that you're still in the roots of what you know and who you are as an artist.
Yeah, and I recently was renting in Nashville for the past couple of years, and I still find myself coming home like every month. So I like to share both cities because I do want to have some tap and pulse in a music industry city, like a Nashville, New York, LA, Atlanta.
And do you feel like, it's a quick question too, I think it's interesting. Do you feel like being in a small market maybe gives you a little bit more of a competitive advantage, maybe because you kind of know the touring, the routes, kind of what's going on? Do you think because I think it's interesting because, this is the famous word, like the music has been homogenized, right? Because of the internet. So people could be anywhere and reach their fan base, but you're such a country singer-songwriter, rock, like I feel like you're in the folk space too. Like you kind of bridge that middle ground. And I know Nashville is such a singer-songwriter community, right? But then like there's other piece of it, like you being where you're from with all that experience of those greats. Like, I don't know, I'm just interested to see, how do you feel about those things?
Yeah, I was wondering if your question was talking about Nashville or Jacksonville. I guess it could be both because Nashville feels actually small, like especially when I tried living in Atlanta for 3 months, I'm like, this place is huge, and LA. I'm like, Nashville has nothing on these cities, but I mainly wanted to have a pulse there to like get in the co-writing scene because I think I thrive better that way. I have been recently doing really well in like the country genre and like all the writers are based there. So I just think that's the smartest move to go back and forth. And then with the Jacksonville scene, like it's great to be tapped in on like all the magazines here and like, the Jaguars have done the anthem there and like the baseball team. And so I'm able to be known, here too. And other than like playing at the beach bars every other time I'm here, but
fair. No, that makes sense. And I know you've had this kind of like really crazy uptick, obviously, with what happened in The Voice and that whole experience. I know people have talked about it in length. So I'm more interested in just as an independent artist coming from that really crazy high, the highs and lows of independent artists are so prevalent. And that was like one of the highest highs. And how did you kind of balance the after effects of that experience?
it's crazy how I just I think I'm also naturally kind of this sounds I'm so humble, like it sounds weird saying that, but I think no matter even if I made it farther, I just think I'm always naturally doing that, like staying grounded. And so I think getting kicked off in round two made me feel like humbled in a sense. But what mainly the voice taught me was like I really haven't been doing this that long. Like it's been such a hobby for so long, but what it taught me is like, oh, making this a profession like is a whole nother step and like a whole nother mental attitude I've got to develop. And so the voice felt like my first little mini training camp. It's like a 6 weeks thing, so it feels like boot camp, and you're there with other people and have a little of that competitive edge. And after that, I went straight back to Nashville, and it was my journey of, well, I got to start creating original music that I want to be aligned with and I want to perform out. So naturally, I'm like, well, I want to go find songwriters who I think are good, and let's start there. And then from there led to the process of not only just recording from my bedroom, but also doing my first studio album with some awesome people that I've known for a while. And yeah, that's the mini story of that.
No, that's great. I mean, you touched on a lot of like jewels there because I know how it is as far as just being an artist as myself creatively previously, but also just life, right? Like you have these like moments of like, this is the breaking point. This is it. It's going to happen. And like being on TV gives so many people this like mentality that this is it. You got it all now. You're gonna be famous. And part of being an artist is that work and that journey and that consistency. And they'll realize, yeah, okay, I had this moment, but what are you gonna do with that moment? Like, are you gonna just have the moment and just be like, dude, this is it. I made it. Like, let me go get a record deal. No, it's like you actually put in your mind, like, all right, now I gotta be the best of the best. I've been around the best of the best. I know what it takes. I'm taking this information out. I'm locking in on what I can do to like capitalize off this and take some learning. I think that's amazing. And I think it's so important for other artists to hear that because on the outside looking in, it's over. You did it. Hang the towel up. You know what I mean? You're playing Carnegie Hall. You're it. It's over now. And I know that that's not 95% of the time looking now. So I think it's really great that you touched on that. Yeah, I mean, I wanted to also talk a little bit about Battles. It's like, obviously you put it out through 2 Lost, but I love that record. I mean, it's like a record that, for me, like I think obviously it as you probably know, it's speaking more on a female perspective from the woman's perspective, but I think anybody can relate to those stories because you're talking about being broke and just going through it and having like what inspired that record and kind of like was it born out of fame? Was it born out of an experience? Like it's such a very poignant song.
Yeah, there's multiple mini stories behind this song. That's why I'm excited to finally talk about it because I haven't really talked about this on Face to Face. Just shared the cover art the other day because it all happened so fast, but started going viral on TikTok back in January when I posted it. And end of 2024, beginning of this year was really hard winter, as most winters are for people. And I was home on Christmas break. And so I was taking a beach walk and saw this guy had this shirt on and said, "Everyone's fighting a battle you don't know anything about." And it turns out to be a shirt from a Jacksonville company, another cool thing. But I wrote that down in my notes, like that has to be the next song I write. And I whipped out my voice memo and like was like, "Oh, everyone's fighting battles that you don't know nothing about." I was like, that's how it has to be sung. It needs to be sung in that way. And then I was like tentatively going into this fancy co-writing session with Curb Records, so they're big in Nashville, and there was 2 writers there, Brian Bunn and Rose Falcon, and I was like, how about this idea? I was like not wanting them to hear my voice memo because I was like, I don't know if this is good or not. So hesitant. I'm like, where is the confidence? But I remember I was like played A, G, D on the guitar. I was like, I think this is how the hook of the song should go. And then the female in the room, Rose, was like, how about the song starts off of like a female narrating it? Like she paints on a smile, she takes on the day, like someone you're gearing up to take on a day, but they're fighting a silent battle inside. And I was kind of fighting back, like, oh well, shouldn't we have like the male verse too? And like needs to be universal for everybody. She's like, yeah, I think it will work really well if we do this though. Like that can be a separate song. And yeah, we ended up just at the end of that session, like it was written in a couple hours, and fast forward a couple weeks later, the publisher sends me the voice memo because I didn't record it that day, and I was in an Uber listening to it on my phone, also not wanting the Uber driver to hear it because I'm like, she's gonna judge me. I don't know how this is sounding. Am I gonna sound bad? And she's like, hold up, is that you singing? Like, please turn that up. Oh my gosh. And I was like, yeah, okay. Turn it up. And then she starts like tearing up. She's like, my back has been hurting all day. Like this song is speaking to me. Oh my gosh.
Wow.
She just goes on and on. I'm like, okay, this song is special. Wow, I did not think it would be that crazy, but I was also just dealing with relationship hardships, and my back was hurting me too. I was on my way to the chiropractor.
Oh
I'm
wow.
like, this battle. Yeah, and then that's when I posted that video, which a lot of people have seen, of me on my bed, just like freestyling on it about my Uber driver. Didn't think I'd make her cry with this song. Here we are. I finally got it out 4 months later, but some people it takes way longer. So
It's a special song, man. It's one of those records that I feel like you said, like the writer was talking about. It's just so universal, even though you can hear the perspective. It's almost like when you think of Tracy Chapman, right? Like those type of records that just are like, it just speaks to you. It's not like, oh, it's obviously that's a record about a woman wanting to leave, right? But like anybody can relate to that, being stuck in a place and not being able to get up and all those things. And so I think when I listen to your record, it really feels and connects to me on that level. And, I just think you did an amazing job. The performance is amazing. Obviously, you see the TikTok responses in the comments and people talking about how much the song means to them and how much is a woman cry and empowering. I mean, how does that, like, obviously you don't go in thinking you're going to make a record like you talked about, but as you write as a songwriter, are you trying to immediately get that reaction all the time? And is that an easy thing? And do you chase it now to get that thing every time now?
it's funny because the rights after this battle has gone viral, I would bring that into the sessions, like, oh, I should try to write one similar. And then I'm like, you know what? I don't think that's the good move, because every time I've gone quote viral, it's never been to chase a certain thing. I mean, I can be strategic and like write for a certain genre or a certain vibe, but I think when I start getting too hyped up on the reaction is like when it's not gonna translate as much. And so maybe the next song that does well is a complete like, oh, upbeat, fun party sound. It's not at all.
I love that. I love that.
But the main thing I would get tripped up on in the past too was like, how should this be produced? Because people love it just acoustically, but then there's always going to be someone commenting, where did the music go? Why didn't you have a studio band and all that? But me still being an emerging artist, like I don't know if I've necessarily landed on the exact, I don't know, same collaborators for everything and like the certain sound. Like it's like you said in the beginning, I'm kind of a melting pot of sounds and genres, so I don't know where I'm going with that. But yeah, that's one thing that I have to think about too. Like when things are circulating around, people get used to the TikTok audio. But I also do want to create a nice listening experience too that isn't just a iPhone sounding.
Sure. I mean, I told you this before, but one of my favorite things about you is that you do these cover songs. And the Morgan Wallen song is probably like I Eat a Drink is like probably like the best. I mean, I've no sauciness. I'm not putting cap on this, no cap. But literally is one of the best cover songs and renditions I've heard of this type of record, especially when you talk about country and just the way you flipped it. I have two questions for you. One being, as a fan, do you feel the pressure of, releasing those cover songs and like how often? And obviously there's a context in a singer-songwriter being a cover artist, and that's not the kind of
Right.
place you want to stand. And then secondly, how do you feel when you remake that record and it's like you kind of, I don't know, again, respect to him, but I feel like you brought the record so much life and different, even that second verse, the way that
Yeah.
you had a pocket that was crazy, yo. And I just think that you made it your own. You know what I mean? I guess like, how do you approach records like that and your thinking around stuff like that?
Yeah, these are great questions. Well, I first knew I had to record it. It's funny. It was like October 2023. I was super depressed and like annoyed at this person I was dating, or lack thereof dating situation shifting.
Okay.
And I was like, this song is really speaking to me. Gosh, I just want to sing it and post it. And just the numbers started going crazy. I'm like, okay, well, I've never seen anything like this before. Like, had micro viral moments, but there's never been thousands of women lip syncing to Madison's voice. Like, I need to record this. And I instantly knew I wanted to hire my two guitar friends to play on it. So that's who's playing on the actual version. So that's one instance where I did get it right by not just doing the TikTok audio version. It's still home produced, but it's a little tear up. When I was posting those, I never was worried about that. It's more just like the Nashville industry also kind of telling me like, oh, that wasn't a good look or something. I don't know. I mean, you hear people gossip and stuff, and I never heard anyone like shaming me for doing that, but internally I started picking that up like, oh, I am doing a lot of covers. Like, how do I get out of this rut where it's like they're only sticking around for the cover songs? But I wanted to flip it and be like, well, I think I'm just a good interpreter of songs, and I twist them enough in my own way where I do make them original to myself. And a lot of people like Bonnie Raitt like are known for covering other people's songs very well. So I'm gonna use it to my advantage. And if you find the right songs that people haven't heard of, also like could be interesting, and adding them to every album I put out. Yeah, and I think just like wanting to write in the style of what is doing well on my covers. It's usually like the lower toned, like moody songs that are doing well. And I just learning to like understand my voice well. It's like, okay, I can belt, but like people are loving like Madison's voice in their wine nights and their bonfire like chill
Yeah.
sessions. And just knowing the strengths, I think, is good for me to know.
That's fire. I think it's so important because I feel like that record that I love so much, it shows like the dynamicness of your voice, like how you can do different octaves, parts of the record you're really like belting, other parts you're really getting into like a pocket, like you're almost like it's a really crazy
Yeah.
pocket you're in. And as a songwriter and as an artist who you could tell like a music theorist, yeah, it's just like it's really appreciated because you're just not you bring life to a new record. Like I love Morgan. I think he's a talented person, but I mean, I think now I got to go listen to him, and I'm like, dang, like what Madison did on this part, like I actually need to see if he, you know what I mean, like, and I think that's it. It shows how talented you are, but it also helps relive his stuff, and then maybe his opportunities for collaboration. I'm sure you've thought of
Yeah,
that
that'd be
fact,
awesome.
maybe in your
I
mind,
can't
you're
get a
like,
hold of them. I don't know how to do it. Everyone watching, let us know.
I believe it will happen. I mean, you're way too talented of an artist for it not to happen for you. And no, and then I guess the last question I wanted to ask you is just about, obviously the grind of touring, right? Like you play a lot of shows. I saw you just played South by Southwest, so congratulations for that. I want to know how that was for you, and then just how it is being an independent artist and touring and playing shows.
I also didn't know how much of a grind it would be. I like grew up doing little coffee shop performances, but I really never did full on touring till this year. And it's all like self booking and self applying, and things fall through sometimes, and it's like getting from point A to point B is hard with learning how to budget and learning how to bring the right merch pieces with you. Like I had to start learning how to create that. Like, what do people want to buy from you? And like, oh, I don't have vinyl yet. Like some people really want that. And so I've started just taking notes and like writing everything down that to prepare for each time I'm out. Being got my now that I have my start on TikTok, so to speak, like I can sometimes neglect touring and the whole live stuff, but it is a whole other side that's important to at least try while I'm doing this music career, because you do make fans on the road, and opening for people like Brent Kopp, who's having me out on some more shows this year. So thankful for that. And you get to learn like in real time what people are reacting to, what songs that I knew, like I was like, okay, I knew this one wouldn't really hit hard. Maybe I should not play this one again.
Mm.
Like you just don't know that until you're out there playing live. Like on socials, you can blame it on the algorithm. Oh, it's not. I'm shadow banned, but live, you can tell people are like talking or like not vibing. And then also, I'll say like I'm so comfortable playing solo acoustic. Like I would like it is hard to bring like full bands out and stuff unless it's like a music festival where everyone wants to gear up and go out for something like that. So
Right.
still navigating that. How do you bring a full sound to like bars and stuff, like where people want the full experience? So that's something I'm still trying to figure out, but maybe just having at least one extra person on the road is enough of a full sound to bring it out versus having everyone's plane rise and stuff like that's too much. But I've learned like also last thing is like making friends with other artists is the best thing you can do, because a lot of the times artists are the ones that are in the decision making for like getting their openers and wanting to help each other out because we're on the same grind, and it doesn't always have to be a competitive vibe. It can be used for good like that.
I love that. Yeah, I think that's a poignant point because you get on the road, you're like what is a tour manager? And then you really start seeing it. You're like, oh no, this is a whole job. Like this is a whole thing. Like I have to be all things. And I think you learn how to wear all those hats. And I think obviously once you scale, it kind of infers and informs sort of like how you think about those things right now. Because you've done this, you could say, hey, I need a person on the merch table. I need to be looking at everything. I need to know, hey, what are we getting at the store? What are we getting at the bar? What is the cut? Here's the percentages I you typically get. If I get this cap is you start getting into the weeds of that, but you can start telling your booking agent or your tour manager, like, these are the things that when I went to this last show, this was like, I noticed the sound guy really didn't EQ this part of the song. Can you make sure this is okay? Hey, like, I know the door, like I had a guest list. So anyways, I say all to say, like, to your point, I think it's really important, even though I think you're going through it now and kind of seeing it, how hard it is. I think it's actually really important that you're going through this and that artists go through this, because it just helps them dictate a little bit. And I think in this new independent space, you kind of need to understand, you don't have to do all the things, but you have to understand how all the things affect the royalties, your bottom line, your backing, your touring, and how you're spending. And you got to take that power into your own hands. So I love that you kind of touched on that. And I think that even the piece that you talked about in regards to collaboration, it's like people get on the road and feel like, yo, I want to, I'm playing our opener for this guy or this woman or this person. I need to kill them. I need to crush it. I need to kill their fan.
Right.
But they don't forget the camaraderie of that this person either gave you the opportunity, somebody made that decision. So why not build a relationship, build a rapport, see if you guys can connect. Maybe you guys don't interact on that first, intro or call or whatever, and you're doing your sound check and it's somebody else. And then now you guys can meet afterwards and grab a bite or grab a drink or watch them perform, So yeah, I love that you talked about that.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah, I think you're right. Instead of complaining about, I don't have a tour manager, I don't have a this or that, I don't have a booking agent. It's like, it's okay that I'm going through the grind and like doing it myself, because I need to learn that for myself anyway. To anyone out there listening, try to get out of the complainer mentality, because I've been there and I'm like, don't get caught in it.
Well, it's hard. I mean, I think as an artist and as a creative, you're it's just you. You obviously have your family, you have your parents, you have your, friends, but nobody knows what you are going through except you,
Right.
even your partner. Like they don't understand. So it's like it's kind of hard a lot of times to like step outside of yourself. But I think, again, you're amazingly talented. You're doing a great job. And I think ultimately you should be proud about how far you've come, what you're dealing with, how many different things you're juggling at the same time. I think, and most artists, again, can relate to it, because most artists are not even at the level of you are, and they're trying to still get that consistency and all those things together and being able to like compartmentalize all the different things. So, I mean, again, like, I think you just always have to take a step back sometimes and look at the journey, as cheesy as it sounds.
Yeah, it's true.
But yeah.
Thank you so much, Brandon.
Of course, Madison, it's been a pleasure. And again, Battles is out now. Everybody check it out. What are the things you have coming on that we can plug before we leave, that you would just love to just kind of touch on, and maybe some new music or anything you got going on in the future?
Yeah, so my website has my show links and my merch stuff. I'm always adding new things to there, and I will be plotting my new music later in May. I will be plotting what I'm doing next, but I have so many songs I've written from this last era of songwriting, so it's just figuring out which ones to put out next. But you can stay tuned on my TikTok channel. I'm sure I will be teasing them there coming up soon. But yes, in the meantime, enjoy the Battles acoustic version. Perhaps you can expect the band version as well at some point. But I'm so glad it's finally out, and for y'all's support.
Awesome. Well, again, this has been Madison Hughes. We've enjoyed you talking. Thank you again for coming. And please, everybody, support the music she's putting out. Amazing artist, like I said. Can't say enough about her. Please go ahead and stream that record, buy it, support it, and check out her newest music that's coming out on the horizon as well. Thank you, guys.
Thank y'all.
She paints on a smile.